Welcome to a coffee with yours truly, Dragan Rainbow, Dragon Age and H, Dragonborn being reborn with every step, every push up, every hawk, every cup of coffee, every sun ray, every star count, every session of reading for the mind, every workout session for the body, every meditation session for the spirit. And this is a special Trinity cup of coffee for the mind, for the body, and for the spirit. This is before Sabbath. It is 4:46 p.m. EST in Hawk Island. Just want to put a reminder myself quickly. Timer 7 hours and 18 minutes at midnight, which is in 7 hours and 18 minutes. Hawk Island time. The Sabbath begins, of course, in 7 hours and 18 minutes. Sabbath 37 hour, 49 minute, 42 hour. 37 hours, 49 minutes, and 42 seconds. Almost 38 hours, almost 38 hours, almost 38 hours. Sabbath begins at midnight in Hawk Island, Montreal, for the recreation, rejuvenation, and pleasure of yours truly, Adrian Hanna Dragan, and for my allies and armies, and for the mind, body, and spirit as my vision for the Sabbath of the dancing goddess, the dragon empire, which are one empire under the sun and the stars on earth, for world peace, international justice, and global freedom. And via the Phoenix People's Party, the anti-war, anti-poverty, anti-racism, pro-love, universal revolutionary centrist body. Which yours truly, Adrian H. Dragonborn, who died during COVID, has founded during this COVID. Of course, the paradox of my workout created to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario, which had the solution. On my fictitious scenario that I'm referring to, of course, began in October 2019. If you don't know what I'm referring to, you can check my past videos or just inquire about it, and either myself or my official volunteer representative, Retziela Yelwork, will direct instructed comment. So back in October 2019, as a world peace advocate, independent student, scholar of history, wars, geopolitics, and civilization, began analyzing the geopolitical situation and had come to the conclusion that we humanity are on a path to World War III after taking into consideration the US-China trade war, the arrest of Meng Wanzhou, consequently the arrest of Michael Spavor, Michael Kovic, which 3 weeks ago, I think tonight or tomorrow will be 3 weeks since the not admitted, the quid pro quo exchange. So taking other historical factors into consideration, such as the Pearl Harbor event, had said that we are on a path to World War III, and created that workout, officially General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the 300 workout, designed, made, and created to go hand in hand with the aforementioned World War III scenario, which yours truly was created with a World War III scenario, and which had, in the fictitious destruction of the World War III, it had a solution. And since COVID 93 days later occurred, in a paradoxical providential parallel, since it had the solution, that's what since July 24th, 2020 had began advocating for, just like in my scenario. Mobilizing 1% of citizens of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member countries, integrating within existing public and private security institutions, creating the International Citizen Integrated Social Security Force, aka the Dragon Army, which yours truly is the General Captain and Founder. Turning that A in my surname into a note through blood, sweat, and tears, and thousands of push-ups, hawks, squats, which yours truly has performed in the past. During this COVID, I completed successfully 213 sessions of the aforementioned General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the 300 workout. And now, of course, since September had begun and will continue during the coming days, weeks, and months ahead until about December, or December 3rd, or we'll see if the weather allows it. I'm doing the General War Integrated Total Body Training System in nature and civilization in this urban, beautiful jungle of the metropolis, cosmopolitan metropolis on the island of Hawk Island, formerly known Montreal. Yours truly, of course, on the mountain, in the forest of the mountain, where designated dragon gyms, dragon gymnasium for training and exercising, working out with hard, heavy rocks, or pieces of wood in nature, or man-made cement blocks, and so on. You can see by the videos I did a few already, hardcore. So I'm still a bit sore from the workout that I did this week, And today we'll do a special meditative session, cup of coffee, and we'll do some reading for training the mind and have filled the see, this is filled with water. It is 18 liters times 2.2, so this is about 42 pounds, and probably 5 pounds just the plastic. So as you can see the liquid, it's filled with water. So we're gonna lift this, doing some exercises with it while we, of course, read and meditate. So a Trinity special, mind, body, and spirit before the Sabbath. And I clean the floors. I just gotta change my room, office, and temple after this 3-hour session. I'm gonna change it for the Sabbath. I'm gonna change my bed sheets, and I'll be able to rock and roll. So it's a rainy day. I was about to go march, but can't march with the laptop in the rain. It's gonna get damaged. And yours truly, this 3-hour session, Trinity session, mind, body, and spirit, is of course dedicated to the general mission of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Emperor, which you can see the emblem flags there, the red head of the dragon, the dancing priestess, could be also the goddess who dances with her bird, the sun, to make, create, and produce all fruits, vegetables, and legumes, even this wheat from this bread, and the cucumbers which are inside. And all fruits, vegetables, and legumes are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her bird, the sun, which our brothers and sisters, farmers, harvest for us to build, maintain, or upgrade civilization, and which the leaders of the free world in the parliament, senators, representatives, prime minister, presidents, free world, need to go kiss their hands, wash their feet, and give them a good hug and massage to these farmers for their help we maintain, build civilization, and realize how fucking useless I can be during this COVID. And I'm grateful for this food. I'm gonna say a little bit of a gratitude for this food that I have. Although my rent is paid, I'm grateful to, although this room on the ground, office, and temple, to my sister, the one I love and call sister, who's a friend and a teacher, to that trinity of teacher, friend, sister has a fourth dimension of being my one and only financial sponsor at the moment, and allowing me good rent, and as a matter of fact, giving me some good, one of the best clothes and garments, running shoes that I ever had. So I love you. Thank you, Anonymous. We'll be rewarded, blessed 77-fold back. And I had a book open where it said that Albert Einstein, he was very grateful, and he realized that it is lots of his work is dependent upon lots of the work of his predecessors, people who had come before him, who did through blood, sweat, and tears a lot of work. And it parallels the echo and the motto, which embodies the Dragon Army's motto. Of course, that nobody is born a dragon, not even myself, although my surname is, of course, Dragan, born Dragon. Perhaps I have the surname as I was born Dragan, now Dragon, still turning that A into an O, to blood, sweat, and tears. And the motto of the Dragon Army: everybody can be, of course, an ally, support a citizen, support world peace, international justice, and global freedom. But if you can do the general war integrated all body training system, then you're eligible to be a dragon, right? D-R-A-G-A-O, turning that A into an O, to blood, sweat, and tears. Nobody's born a dragon, not even myself, of course, with a surname Dragon. And you might have a surname Dragon, but that doesn't make you a dragon. You gotta will it and work and pain, blood, sweat, and tears. For me, literally, to become there, and thousands of push-ups, thousands of squats, thousands of hacks, millions of marching steps in steel-toe boots or in running shoes, or barefoot in my room, office, and temple in steel-toe boots around Hawk Island, Montreal, to turn that A into an O in this before COVID, and a lot during COVID, as yours truly, Adrian H. Dragon died during COVID. Again, my trinity of beliefs on COVID. I had COVID back before mass testing was available. At the end of January until about February 20th, was very sickle and disease. It was like death, pestilence, disease. And in many ways, yours truly did die during COVID. Got vaccinated right here, 2 jabs, vaccinated. right in the forehead. There's a goddess tattoo in the forehead of my goddess tattoo. And when they say God, I also say and the goddess. There's no God without a goddess. If I die tonight on the side where I'm going to go, like, don't mind whatever XYZ. I want to be understood that Adrian Hunter Dragan said the phrase, when they said God, you say allies and armies. And the goddess. For out of blood, sweat, and tears, just to recognize, of course, the divine feminine, which of course, the hairs on the goddess's body are the majestic, beautiful trees, which my filming you can see in Hawk Island, Montreal. After 7 times, yours truly, dragon, rainbow dragon size, and I am just a piece of dust in face of the goddess who dances with her bird, the sun, who gets that one kiss from the goddess of starlit heaven, and that one kiss turns into 93 trillions of kisses, 718 billion, 418 million, 156,000 kisses. From those kisses to my allies and armies, not selfish, gonna share. I'm not perfect, got issues, got vices. Probably hurt a lot of people in the past and recent past with speech, with being misunderstood, XYZ, or in speaking sometimes philosophical and more of a mystic or spiritual or very questioning. We use very perhaps unnecessary long sentences or language which is perhaps unnecessary to explain, or simple things sometimes, or philosophies which can be very profound and in-depth and complicated. And sometimes I'm very straightforward and direct, and I'm not just one-dimensional being. I'm a poet, I'm a philosopher, I'm an independent artist, athlete, activist, world peace advocate, student, scholar. I've suffered depression, suicide, and addiction, and poverty, and loneliness, and chronic illness, and across the great desert. And if I say one thing to be remembered, is that I said, when they say God, I said, and the goddess dances with her bird, the sun, to make, create, and produce all fruits, vegetables, and legumes, which our brothers and sisters harvest for us to build, maintain, or upgrade civilization. Was a farmer in a past life. In this life, a little bit of urban farming, so not totally useless in a severe crises. Goddess forbid nuclear war, which had haunted us, humanity, and we were on the brink several times of nuclear calamity. Anyways, this Trinity session for world peace, international justice, global freedom via the mission, vision, and philosophy of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Empire and the Phoenix People's Party, by yours truly's theory, debt refusion, creating the Dancing Goddess Army and the Dragon Army by fusing all private and public debt, a global central bank of unit of exchange biometrics, hand, eye, and a voice. Money, money, money. That's 5 letters, money. Let's do 5 of these. Money, what that? 4? 1 more. 5. Let it be understood that at the present moment in time I am living the worst financial crisis of my adult life. However, maybe by midnight tonight I will get my first dollar donated via PayPal, or get a proposal for a commission or for some work. I am writing children's books for children. I am writing some scripts for movies. I am writing some poetry, lots of poetry. My theories, my philosophical, social, financial theories, which got on several USB keys, which must retrieve. We're gonna start a big cleaning from the 22nd on the 23rd of October until Halloween, a very 7-day long cleaning right in the beginning of the month of Scorpio. Right, cleaning, purification, and reordering of my room, office, and temple. And I'm open for business 24/7. Can write, can read, can massage, can clean, can cook, can recite, can act, can do poetry, can dance, can kiss, can hug, can wash, can cook, can philosophize, and can meditate spiritually. Money. We're going to be doing some reading on money. So again, if anybody wants to commission a dance, choreography, an hour of dance by yours truly, the priestess of the goddess, or a general war integrated total body training system workout by yours truly, Dragan Zero, to commission a workout, dedicate a workout to a special cause, or for somebody, or for yourself, or XYZ, for writing, for art, or philosophy, or for any other type of work. I'm open for business. I'm open for business, going to market, and the main business, of course, is the business of yours truly as an independent artist, athlete, and advocate, and that AAA artist, athlete, advocate, and of course the mission, general mission of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Empire, which are one empire under the sun and the stars on earth, for world peace, international justice, and global freedom, and securing and ensuring global freedom, creating the two institutions, complementary covenant cooperative institutions, the International Integrated Dance League, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, and with the National Citizen Integrated Social Security Force, aka the Dragon Army, in order to secure food, housing, and transport via public-private partnership for all, and attain harmony between civilization and nature by the mass cleaning of the oceans, rivers, waterways, lakes, forests, mountains, valleys, cities thereof, and oceans especially. The Phoenix People's Party, the universal revolutionary centrism, is my theory of democratic fusion and the way forward for world peace and a global community in the 21st century, is not fascism, is not communism, is not the extremes left or right, but the universal revolutionary centrism, revolutionary in that concording a public-private partnership for securing freedom and ensuring freedom and attaining harmony between civilization and nature, and of course for a new world order of peace, international justice, and secured, ensured freedom, and with that Trinity, harmony between civilization, development, and nature. Money. Money is any item or verifiable record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services, which I don't have at the moment. I have kisses. I have trillions of kisses from allies and armies, trillions of hugs, massage rubs, washes, millions of push-ups from the eye of the dragon, the sun, millions of squats, millions of hawks, millions of lifting rocks, trillions of marching steps that I got. I'm willing to share food, for wine, for shelter, for clothing, for steel-toe boots, for massages, trade. Money at the moment I don't have. I'm actually in the minus $461, almost $460, and so I pay a monthly fee of $4 so that can go in the minus without being charged overdraft and without being charged interest or penalized penalty fees, because I go in the minus. Pay a monthly fee of $4 for $500, which is reasonable. So I still, in theory, still have maybe almost $38, which I could withdraw. Although on the 18th there's about $18 that will be withdraw for a bill. So in theory I have less. I have some cash. Let's see how much cash I have. Money. Speaking of money, I do have an American dollar bill printed in. Speaking of money, this is money printed in 2009. When, before the financial crisis, I had investments. I was, of course, to go to university, although I declare myself the people's doctor since many years of struggle, chronic illness, financial insecurity, and loneliness, depression, you name it. I still made the libraries of the city of Montreal my second home, and the many thousands of books, my friends, where I've wrote thousands of pages of theory, of proposals, of ideas for stories, for short stories, for scripts, for dialogue, and for poetry, thousands of poems, and hundreds and thousands of pages of theory for social, financial, economic, political, and even spiritual reform, which now are concentrated, and generally the fundamentals, the essence, and the common general themes are embodied in the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Empire's philosophy and the Phoenix People's Party philosophy. But I do have a US dollar printed in 2009. I used to have investments, invested regularly, bi-weekly, was going to university, but cut my hours during the great financial crisis 3 times, went from working overtime, cut during 1 year in retail, cut 3 times. I suffered greatly, with millions and millions and millions of people suffered in that great recession. Not that much the CEOs, of course, financial industries or corporations who, paradoxically, just like during COVID, paradoxically, they kept the bonuses along with the millions of dollars in salary. I'm asking from the heart to finance, mass finance, especially food security, and the youth to work out, exercise, and train, which has been, is, and will be medicine and therapy for yours truly. And calling on the NFL, National Football League, National Hockey League, NHL, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, Major League Baseball, who since 1984, I'm going to say patriarchal sports, there's not even one women's sports league who makes even close to the aforementioned National Football League, NFL, who I'm asking the cheerleader salaries to be tripled. Triple, that's 300 for every dollar, give them $3. Since to play a sport, our society, our civilization rewarded you since 1984 to make so many millions to play a sport on the field, to throw a ball, run with a football, footsie, and XYZ. I love the sport. My favorite sport is dancing. I love boxing. I'm still challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian U.S. border for world peace, and Kanye West to sing that Dragon's Fist will make Trump's nose grow like Pinocchio. This is a United States dollar bill printed in 2009. In 2009, with Latin inscriptions on it, mostly taken from the Roman Empire, from the epic poem Virgil the Aeneid. There you go. So this is series 2009. Has the number there, Y638734668. As for reference, of course, the beautiful seal of the United States, and the eagle with the branches, the olive branches, and the arrows, being highly symbolic, of course. It's beautiful, beautiful. It's, to me, it's very beautiful, very symbolic, and it's one of my favorite symbols and emblems in the world. So there you have it. I have a US dollar. This is considered money, printed in 2009. Maybe in the US can get a bread somewhere with this. Maybe a pound or two of bananas, or a pound of tomatoes. All right, a pound of something, a pound of potatoes or tomatoes or banana with that dollar. So in theory, this US dollar printed in 2009 could, let's say, stretch it out. If I only buy the cheapest for it, or most affordable in the corner, where I can buy a few pounds of potatoes, could feed me for, stretching out, maybe 3 days. If I buy, let's say, good rice, affordable rice with this US dollar in the US, I could stretch it perhaps to maximum 7 days. I don't think this US dollar can purchase me more than enough rice or beans or potatoes that could last me. And this is very rationing, right? If I buy, let's say, if it gets me 2 pounds of potatoes somewhere in a market, let's say at 50 pound of potato, 50 cents the potato somewhere, or get 3 pounds for this dollar, if I stretch it out, I could probably survive for 7 days on it, worst case scenario. And how much do I have left? And I have Canadian, I have some Canadian money, Canadian money, US. I have some Canadian money. How much do I have? I have a $2 toonie Canadian with a polar bear on it, and Elizabeth II, the Queen. So I have 2 Canadian. This one was minted. So when it's a coin like this, we say minted. When it's a banknote made of paper, we say printed. Printed, minted. Canadian dollar with the goose. So that's 2 plus 1, that's 3. From 1987. Passed a lot of more hands. And we got a quarter. From the year 2000. So 325, and then we got 5 cents, 330, and then 340, 350, 360, 370, 380. $3.80. So I got 10 cents. So this is money. So with this 380, if I buy the cheapest, most affordable noodle bags, like I bought yesterday at 25 cents, 4 noodle bags for $1, which are about 400 calories per bag. So in theory, 1 bag could last me for a day. In worst case scenario, food shortages, or no, World War III gone nuclear warheads, which in theory, unfortunately, from if the claim is correct, and it's supposedly confirmed by military intelligence of Canada, United States of America, NATO, and Israel, that North Korea has rockets capable of reaching continental North America, all of continental North America. So in theory, a 358 ICBM, stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, could have shot from North Korea and heading for Montreal, Hawk Island, in theory. Now, in practice, are the rockets that good? Don't know. In a parallel life, science, innovation, and technology would have been my path, and rockets and satellites and computer science and microchips would have been my universe and my toys. In this life, it's spirituality, art, philosophy, physicality, sexuality, irrational, the emotional. Which are, of course, as important. You have to work together with the scientific, the logical, the mathematical, and the action side of doing, and parallel and harmony, equilibrium with the being. So anyways, worst case scenarios aside, with that little money, I have my food security. I'm grateful. My rent is paid, although I'm in a financial crisis. My rent is paid until October 31st. Maybe I'll get that commission by midnight tonight. Maybe by tomorrow, during the Sabbath, maybe Monday. If not, my rent is paid until October 31st. I got food security. I'm slow cooking something actually. I got bags of noodles, cans of sardines. I got bread, which were donated. I got 3 sandwiches for tonight. So I'm good to go with 3 sandwiches. So I got food security to last me, let's say, until October 31st, when my rent is paid. Until then, my bill, phone bill, let's say half of it is paid. And I'm still grateful for this food, for this internet connection, to be able to read, heal my brain, learn something. Today, October 15th, this vigil, coffee with yours truly, Rainbow Dragan. Money. Money is any item or verifiable record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services and repayment of debts. Payment. Payment is the voluntary tender of money or its equivalent, or of things of value by one party to another in exchange for goods or services provided by them. Goods and services. Goods are items that are usually tangible, such as pens, books, salt, apples, and hats. Services are activities provided by other people, who include doctors, lawn care workers, dentists, barbers, waiters, or online servers. Myself, to my allies and armies of the dancing goddess and the dragon empire, I'm of service. Adrian Hanna, dragon, rainbow, androgynous, pansexual service. Massages, dancing, cooking, cleaning, kissing, washing, reading, writing, poetry, arting. And goods can do, things can paint, can write, can create. So, yours truly to my allies and armies, thy servant, Adrian Hanna Dragan. Repayment of debts such as taxes, debts. Debt is an obligation that requires one party. So my private debt is about 10,000. In my debt refusion theory, which I'm calling to be put into practice for the financing of the dancing goddess and the dragon army and world peace, international justice and secured global freedom and harmony between civilization and nature, is of course taking all ALL private on public debt, whatever that number is, refusing it, so basically taking that number and crediting the universe, the global central bank, to issue a universal unit of exchange, preferably by biometrics. The hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometrics identifiers. And in order to finance the Dragon Army, which will have as general mission to secure and ensure freedom by securing the three elements of civilization: food, housing, and transport for all. Once those three are secured, we can encourage people to work out, to train, to exercise, to volunteer, to do community work, to learn. And my theory of more that's needed in the 21st century and now, more integration. And how is integration to be done? By more integration across all public and private spheres, to allow people to travel and so that we fight the growing alienation, which has been growing since 1984, with growing specialization, which is great and awesome. But now we need, of course, more concordium and harmony by allowing people to go see, for example, how recycling is done, how compost is done in the city, in the big cities, and how the farmers in the rural, how the urban and the rural work together, how civilization is built from nature, and these questions, and by doing, and by action, and by volunteering, and by the Dragon Army, we can people to go from and integrate and know about all sectors. And allowing the people's general attributes and characteristics and skills and be integrated in. Repayment of debts such as taxes in a particular country or socio-economic context. So taxes, a tax is a compulsory financial charge or some other type of levy, levy imposed on a taxpayer by a governmental organization in order to fund government spending and various public expenditures. A failure to pay, along with evasion of resistance to taxation, is punishable by law. Taxes consist of different modes of taxation. The main functions of money are distinguished as a medium of exchange. Medium of exchange. In economics, a medium of exchange is any item that is widely acceptable in exchange for goods and services. In modern economies, the most common use medium of exchange is currency, which of course is also what I showed you at the beginning, the US dollar and my 3 Canadian coins with the 80 cents, 380 in coins. A unit of account. In economics, unit of account is one of the money functions. A store of value is any commodity or asset that would normally retain purchasing power into the future, and is the function of the asset that can be saved, retrieved, and exchanged at a later time. and be predictably useful when retrieved. And sometimes a standard of deferred payment. In economics, a standard of deferred payment is a function of money. It is the function of being a widely accepted way to value a debt, thereby allowing goods and services to be acquired now and paid for in the future. Any item of verifiable record that fulfills these functions can be considered as money. Money is historically an emergent market phenomenon. In philosophy, systems theory, science, and art, emergence occurs when an entity is observed to have properties its parts do not have on their own, properties or behavior which emerge only when the parts interact in a wider whole. Interesting. Establishing a commodity money. Commodity money is money whose value comes from a commodity of which is made. Commodity money consists of objects having value or use in themselves as well as their value in buying goods. This is in contrast to representative money, which has little or no intrinsic value but represents something. But nearly all contemporary money systems are based on fiat money. Fiat money is a currency established as money, often by government regulation. Fiat money does not have intrinsic value and does not have use value. It has value only because the government maintains its value, or because parties engaging in exchange agree on its value. It was introduced as an alternative to commodity value, money. Fiat money, like any check or note of debt, is without use value. Use value or value in use is a concept in classical political economy and Marxist economics. It refers to the tangible features of a commodity which can satisfy some human requirement, want, or need, or which serves a useful purpose as a physical commodity. In economics, a commodity is an economic good, usually a resource, that has full of substantial fungibility. That is, the market treats instances of the good as equivalent or nearly so, with no regard to who produces the good. So let's see some examples. Yerba mate, coffee bean, and tea. Speaking of coffee bean, a commodity, gonna go get some. Give me 38 seconds. Just gonna get some coffee. So these are commodities. There's in economics, commodity is an economic good, usually a resource. So it can be raw materials. Most commodities are raw materials, basic resources, agricultural or mining products such as iron ore, sugar, or grain like rice and wheat. Which? Rice, wheat, coffee bean, tea are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, which our brothers and sisters, farmers harvest for us to build, maintain, or upgrade civilization. Soft commodities are goods that are grown, such as wheat or rice. Hard commodities are mined. Examples include gold, silver, helium, and oil. Energy commodities include electricity, gas, coal, and oil. We're blessed here for the Hydro-Quebec of Quebec, which is La Belle Province, the province of which Montreal, Hawk Island is. Of course, and yours truly, Quebecer, Canadien Français, Canadian Quebecer, North American Quebecer, World Peace, LGBTQ, World Citizen, Adrian Hanna Dragan. There's a list of global commodities Trading Company. This is a list of companies trading globally in commodities, descending by size as of October 28th, 2011. So in 13 days, it will be 10 years, and I guess we'll have to see if this is still applies. If this is still the order, or probably changed. I'm more than sure that some went lower, some went upper, or some even changed or defunct. Or this is trading companies. Vitol, VITOL, is a Dutch energy and commodity trading company that was founded in Rotterdam in 1966. So physical trading, logistics, and distribution are at the core of the business. These are complemented by refining, shipping terminals. Glencore International AG is an Anglo-Swiss multinational commodity trading and mining company with headquarters in Bar, B-A-R, B-A-A-R, Bar, B. That's the name, I guess, of the, let me check, of the city. Switzerland. I've heard of Zurich, Geneva, but less of Bar. So Bar is a municipality in the canton of Zug. However, in 2020 Forbes Global 2000, Glencore International was ranked as the 484th largest public company in the world. And so it is very large. It is revenue and trading in the billions, not millions. I'm saying billions to distinguish because, of course, 1 billion is 1,000 million. Was the largest company in Switzerland, Glencore, as well as the world's largest commodities trading company with a 2010 global market share of 60% in internationally tradable zinc, 50% in internationally tradable copper, big, founded in 1974, worldwide, Bar. So the city of Bar is in northern Switzerland, and population 24,000 as of December 31st, 2018. Probably hasn't changed much, but not big. It's a small city. Small city. Small city for sure. That's why probably. But however, his headquarters in Bar, Glencore. Trafigura. Trafigura Group is a Swiss multinational commodity trading company founded in 1993 that trades in base metal and energy. Headquartered in Geneva. Geneva I've heard of. Swiss. Again in Switzerland. Cargill is an American privately held global food corporation based in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Salam Investment was a brokerage and commodity trading company, so it's no longer. It was founded in Munich. Archer Daniels Midland, the American multinational food processing and commodities trading corporation founded in 1902. Gunvor is a Cypriot in Cyprus domicile multinational commodity trading company registered in Cyprus with its main trading office in Geneva, Switzerland. Already we have three main top ones in commodity trading companies that are based in Switzerland. Mercuria Energy Group is a Cypriot domicile multinational trading company active in a wide spectrum of global energy markets, including crude oil and refined petroleum products. Noble Group is a commodity trader based in Hong Kong. Louis Dreyfus Company is a French merchant firm that is involved in agriculture, food processing, international shipping, and finance. Bunge Limited is an American agribusiness and food company incorporated in Bermuda and headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri. Vilmar International is a Singaporean food processing and investment holding company that provides management services to its 400 plus subsidiary companies. That's a lot of subsidiaries. Very rare that I hear of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 subsidiaries, but more than 400 subsidiaries. Quite a lot. Founded in 1991, it is one of Asia's leading agribusiness groups. Olam International is a major food and agribusiness company operating in 60 countries and supplying food and industrial raw materials to over 19,800 customers worldwide. Olam is among the world's largest suppliers of cocoa beans and products, coffee, cotton, and rice. And the commodity trade on the New York Mercantile Exchange, National Commodity Exchange, London Metal Exchange, Euronext, Chicago Board of Trade, and so on. Back to money. So money to get the commodity. So with the US dollar that it could have, perhaps in the United States, somewhere, it's going to vary across cities, across states, the prices for potatoes, let's say. Open question. I wonder where in the United States would be the most affordable, where in the United States, a question for meditation. Where in the United States would be a state where it could get the best price for my US dollar in terms of potatoes today, October 15, 2021. Will be a small farm, medium farm, or from a big farm. I go maybe to a local farmer. Where are potatoes grown in the United States? Let's see. In the US, and then we'll contrast to Canada. I know that here, not far from Montreal, calling in Quebec, we have good potatoes. As a matter of fact, just cooked and still have a little bit of leftover, just cooked with local grown Quebec potatoes. Top growing potato states in the United States, of which yours truly was an American twice in past lives. Many incarnations read George Patton's Through a Glass Darkly. Top potato growing states in the United States. Idaho. Every year Idaho produces potatoes amounting to 134,850,000 centum weight. Wow. And then is Washington in second. Big difference. The annual production of potatoes in Washington State is 99,000. So it's close to 100,000, but it's not. Well, Idaho is 40%, 37.89 more. So almost 40%, more than a third more than what Washington produces. So Idaho is by far the biggest. Then third place comes Wisconsin. However, the state is also popular for its potato production, as it is ranked third among the US states. So Idaho, Washington, and Wisconsin. I remember passing, well, in the past life, 718 miles that way, which is south, 156 years ago, served in the US Army. The past life. So potatoes. I wonder in Idaho, in a small farm or local farm or somewhere, No, I would assume that with my US dollar, it would be from where the top, among the top growing states where the most potatoes grow. Because I would go in Idaho, the farmer, and what can you give me for $1? And he's probably coming, hey, cheers, how you doing? I'm gonna say a poem and give him a hug and say, yeah, I got this US dollar. Can you give me 5 pounds? And say, I'll give you 10. I go, wow, maybe 10 cents per pound. An Idaho farmer. He said, I have a lot, and Biden is not a big fan of potatoes, so he's not buying me potatoes to cook at the White House. Too many potatoes. And so I'm going to make you 10 pounds for $1. So with those 10 pounds, probably I could survive, stretch it out. If I eat 300 grams per day, probably a whole month. But this is really stretching the pounds though. But in the worst case scenario, I could probably survive a month with 10 pounds. Rationing. So 10 pounds is, if a pound is 454 grams, that would be I would have 4,500 grams, right? So, yeah. A month it would be stretching it though. But worst case scenario, 3 potatoes a day or 10 pounds for that US dollar. And now in Canada, so I would say probably could buy for those $3.80 at a local farmer in Quebec. Could probably get 13, 14, 15 pounds even. If I go directly. Bonjour, j'ai $3.80. Pouvez me donner 15 livres de patates, s'il vous plaît? I said in French. Can I have $3.80? Can I have 15 pounds of potatoes? And the farmer, if I go directly, probably on the farm, probably okay. But in Canada, which is the largest potato producing province in Canada? The largest production is in Prince Edward Island, about 35,000 hectares, followed by Manitoba, New Brunswick, and Alberta. Funny, I thought Quebec would have been in top 3. It seems that Quebec, although there's a lot of production of potatoes in Canada, even Ontario, but it seems that we're not in the top. I guess depending on the calculation, right? Alright, so I could buy some potatoes with my US dollar and my Canadian dollars there. Which is a commodity, of course. The potato is a commodity. The rice, thing that you can eat, is a commodity. Fiat money. Fiat money, like any check or note of debt, is without use value as a physical commodity. It derives its value by being declared by a government to be legal tender. Legal tender is a form of money that courts of law are required to recognize as satisfactory payment for any monetary debt. Each jurisdiction determines what is legal tender, but essentially it is anything which, when offered, tendered is a payment of a debt, extinguishing the debt. That is, it must be accepted as a form of payment within the boundaries of the country for all ALL debts, public and private. Counterfeit money can cause good money to lose value. Counterfeit money is currency produced without the legal sanction of the state or government, usually in a deliberate attempt to imitate a currency, and so as to deceive its recipient. Good money. In economics, Gresham's law is a monetary principle stating that bad money drives out good. For example, if there are 2 forms of commodity money in circulation, which are accepted by laws having similar face value, the more valuable commodity will gradually disappear from circulation. The money supply. Let's do a little bit of workout. mind, body, and spirit today before the Sabbath, which is rest for the mind, body, and spirit, and not just rest, but pleasure. The body, which have invested by push-ups, squats, hawks, is a temple for purpose and for pleasure. And I encourage everybody to work out, train, exercise, hygiene, clean, and mopping, carrying my disinfectant, clean hands, especially when you go a public building, a bank, a grocery store, a store. Do not forget to clean the hands as much as you can. The money supply of a country consists of currency. The money supply in macroeconomics. The money supply refers to the total volume of money held by the public at any particular point in time in an economy. There are several ways to define money, but standard measures usually include currency in circulation and demand deposits. So today, October 15, I have a US dollar, so that is part of the money supply in the United States of America, that was printed by the Federal Reserve. So my dollar is part of how many trillions have been printed and are in circulation. Let's try to see. Total, of course, there is a definite number, as there is a number to the all, ALL, the private debt and the public. My private debt is, at the moment in time, October 15, is $9,901. So $99 short of 10,000. Let's round it up. Let's say my private debt is $10,000. If I'm X1 and you're X2, maybe your debt is $13,000 or 13,300, whatever the number, or 2,000 or 3 or 25,000. So according to this, what we got here, money supply. The money supply in macroeconomics, the money supply refers to the total volume of money held by the public at any particular point in time in an economy. So today, October 15, 2021, there is a specific amount of money in circulation in the United States. Because let's say there's no more printing done today. Perhaps on Saturdays, don't think there's any printing over the weekend. But maybe Monday there's going to be more printing. Right? That's decided by the central banks and the Federal Reserve, of course. There's approximately 40 trillion in circulation in US dollars. So this includes all the physical money and the money deposited in savings and checking accounts. This includes all the physical money, so mine would be physical. The US dollar, which would be part of the 40 trillion. This US dollar that I have would be part of the 40 trillion. That would be including in the physical money. And then the money deposited in savings and checking accounts, right? One of those two. I have a savings account. I only have about $3.58. I don't have any money in my savings. In my checking, I'm in the minus, although pay a monthly fee of $4 to be able to go in the minus without repercussions, financial fees or interest, and I can go up to minus 500, of which I am close to. I'm about minus 461. And my rent's paid. Got food to survive, and I got more kisses credited from the goddess of starlit heavens to the goddess, her sister, that dances with a bird, a sun. 93 trillions of kisses. So more than double in terms of kisses than the trillions of US dollars in circulation. Some US about 40 trillion in circulation. This includes all the physical money and the money deposited in savings and checking accounts. Money in the form of investments, derivatives, and cryptocurrencies exceeds 1.3 quadrillion. So this would have to be taken because the investments, they can be converted into money, right? So to get liquidity, and this is another question in economics of liquidity, right? However, it's cryptocurrencies, derivatives, investments. However, the physical money, such as my US dollar, and the money in the savings and the checking accounts is approximately 40 trillion. And a trillion is 1,000 billion, and 1 billion is 1,000 million. So a trillion has 12 zeros, right? How much money is there in the world? The money supply. As of March 31st, 2021, there was nearly 2.1 trillion in circulation in US dollar, including Federal Reserve notes, coins, and currency no longer issued. If you are looking for all the physical money, notes, and coins, and the money deposited in savings and checking accounts, you could expect to find approximately 40 trillion. This figure represents only narrow money. However, if you add the broad money, the amount rises to over 90.4 trillion. This amount further increases when bitcoins and other current cryptocurrencies are included. Money in the form of investments, derivatives, and cryptocurrencies exceeds 1.3 quadrillion. This is what it looks like written out. And there's 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 zeros, 301. And there's a 1, and there's 300, and there's 12 zeros after that 300. So it's 13000000000000000. Lots of zeros. Now the money supply in Canada. Money supply in Canada. Money supply in Canada. April 21. In Canadian millions. So there's almost 3 trillion. So it's 2,944,239,000,000. So almost 3 trillions. So it's 2,944,239,000,000. 2,944,239,000,000. That's the money supply. So it can be accounted. The money supply of a country consists of currency, banknotes, and coins. The currency is the most specific sense of money in the form when in use or circulation as a medium of exchange, especially circulating banknotes and coins. This one and my $3.80 Canadian there, which are of course part of the Canadian money supply, currency, banknotes and coins, and depending on the particular definition used, one or more types of bank money. Bank money. Demand deposits or non-confidential money are funds held in demand accounts in commercial banks. These account balances are usually considered money and form the greater part of the narrowly defined money supply of a country. The balances held in checking accounts, a transaction account, also called a checking account, current account, demand deposit account, or share draft account at credit unions, is a deposit account held at a bank or other financial institution. It is available to the account owner on demand. Savings accounts. A saving account is a bank account at a retail bank. Common features include a limited number of withdrawals, a lack of check and linked debit card facilities, limited transfer options, and the inability to be overdrawn. Traditionally, transactions on savings accounts were widely recorded in a passbook. And other types of bank accounts. So we have checking accounts and savings accounts, the main ones, which of course yours truly has. And many other people have. Most people. Bank money, which consists only of records, mostly computerized in modern banking, forms by far the largest part of broad money in developed countries. In economics, broad money is a measure of the amount of money or money supply in a national economy, including both highly liquid, narrow money, and less liquid forms. And there's a picture of a sample picture of a fictional ATM card. The largest part of the world's money exists only as the counting numbers, which are transferred between financial computers. Various plastic cards and other devices give individual consumers the power to electronically transfer such money to and from their bank accounts without the use of currency. Etymology. The word money derives from the Latin word moneta, meaning with the meaning coin, via French monnaie. The Latin word is derived to originate from a temple of Juno. See, we're learning. I remember reading about this, but I guess now I'm refreshing that memory. The Latin word is believed to originate from a temple of Juno. Juno, Juno, was an ancient Roman goddess, Goddess, goddess. That's right. The protector and special counselor of the state. She was equated to Hera, Hera, queen of the gods in Greek mythology, a daughter of Saturn, Saturn, Saturn like the planet. She was the wife of Jupiter and the mother of Mars, Vulcan, Bellona, and Juventus. On Capitoline, the Capitolium or Capitoline Hill between the Forum and the Campus Martius is one of the 7 hills of Rome. One of Rome's 7 hills. And here in, of course, Montreal, Hawk Island, we have 3 mountains. Because there's rock, right? It's hard rock. So they're bigger than hills, they're mountains. We have Mount Royal, right? It's not just a hill, it's a mountain. and because of course they're rocks, big, huge rocks. Juno was often associated with money. The temple of Juno Moneta at Rome was the place where the mint of ancient Rome was located. Interesting. In Roman mythology, Moneta was a title given to two separate goddesses. It was the name of the goddess of memory. Paradoxically, it got more memories from past lives, incarnations, and a little bit from my childhood and adolescence and early adulthood, but mostly from the last years, especially the teachings of my friend, who's oftentimes a teacher, the one I love and call sister. Perhaps she's like this goddess, priestess, goddess of memory. Was an epithet of Juno called Juno Moneta. The latter's name is the source of numerous words in English and the Romance languages, including money and mint. Interesting. The temple of Juno Moneta at Rome was the place where the mint of ancient Rome was located. So even the coins, the mint, was minted there. Fascinating, isn't it? The name Juno may have derived from the Etruscan goddess Uni, which means the one, unique, unit, union, united, and moneta, either from the Latin word monere, remind, warn, or instruct, or the Greek word moneris, alone, unique. In the Western world, the prevalent term for coin money has been specie, stemming from the Latin in specie, meaning in kind. History. The use of barter-like methods may date back to at least 100,000 years ago. Let's do some more workout with this. At least 100,000 years ago, though there is no evidence of a society or economy that relied primarily on barter. Instead, non-monetary societies operated largely along the principles of gift, economy, and debt. When barter did in fact occur, barter is basically exchanging goods for goods. Right? In trade, barter is a system of exchange in which participants in a transaction directly exchange goods or services for other goods or services without using a medium of exchange such as money. When barter did in fact occur, it was usually between either complete strangers or potential enemies. And there's a coin here, a 640 BC before the Common Era. That's more than 2,500 years ago. 1/3 Stater Electrum, coin from Lydia. Electrum is, of course, for as white gold. The stater was an ancient coin used in various regions of Greece. The term is also used for similar coin, imitating Greek staters. And of course, Lydia was an Iron Age kingdom of Western Asia Minor, located generally east of ancient Ionia in the modern Western Turkish provinces of Rusak, Manisa, and Ilan Izmir. Instead, non-monetary societies operated largely along the principle of gift economy. When barter did in fact occur, it was usually between either complete strangers or potential enemies. Many cultures around the world eventually developed the use of commodity money. Commodity money, COMMOD, commodity. Money is money whose value comes from a commodity of which it is made. Commodity money consists of objects having value or use in themselves as well as their value in buying goods. This is in contrast to representative money. the Mesopotamian shekel. Shekel is an ancient Near Eastern coin, usually of silver. A shekel was first a unit of weight, very roughly 11 grams or 0.39 ounces, and became currency in ancient Tyre and ancient Carthage, and then in ancient Israel under the Maccabees. And let's say not just ancient Israel per se, but it's mention of the shekel, of course, in the Torah, the books of Moses, known as the ancient or the Old Testament. Shekels are mentioned of gold, silver, and copper, and relied on a mass of something like 100 grains of barley. The first usage of the term came from Mesopotamia, circa 3000 BC. Wow, we go back now. Mesopotamia. For I was Sumeria. Circa 3000 BC. Societies in the Americas, Asia, Africa, and Australia used shell money, often the shells of cowrie, C-O-W-R-Y. Cowrie is the common name for a group of small to large sea snails. Marine mammals in the family Chypridae, the cowries. According to Herodotus, Herodotus was an ancient Greek writer, geographer, and historian born in the Greek city of Halicarnassus, part of the Persian Empire. The Lydians were the first people to introduce the use of gold and silver coins. A gold coin is a coin that is made mostly or entirely of gold. Silver coins. The ancient Persians used silver coins between 612 before the Common Era to about 330 before the Common Era. It is thought by modern scholars that the first stamped coins were minted around 650 before the Common Era and 600 before the Common Era. The system of commodity money eventually evolved into a system of representative money. This occurred because gold and silver merchants or banks would issue receipts to their depositors, redeemable for the commodity money deposited. Eventually, these receipts became generally accepted as a means of payment and were used as money. Paper money or banknotes were first used in China. Wow. During the Song Dynasty. The Song, S-O-N-G dynasty was an imperial dynasty of China that began in 960 of the Common Era and lasted until 1279, my bad. So from 960 to 1279, more than 300 years. The dynasty was founded by Emperor Taizong of Song following his usurpation of the throne of later Zhao. But so from what we know, paper money or banknotes were first used in China. A banknote is a type of negotiable promissory note made by a bank or other licensed authority payable to the bearer on demand. Banknotes were originally issued by commercial banks, which were legally required to redeem the notes for legal tender when presented. So paper money or banknotes was first used in China. First used, well. Let's do some more workout. Ah! 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 Oh. In China, wow. In China, these banknotes known as jiaozi JIAOZI, was a form of promissory note which appeared around the 11th century in the Sichuan capital of Chengdu, China. Numismatists, Numismatists, you try to pronounce that real fast, numismatists, regard it as the first paper money in history, a development of the Chinese Song Dynasty. These banknotes, known as jiazi, evolved from promissory notes that had been used since the 7th century. However, they did not displace commodity money and were used alongside coins. In the 13th century, paper money became known in Europe through the accounts of travelers such as Marco Polo and William of Rubrach. Marco Polo's account of paper money during the Yuan dynasty is the subject of a chapter of his book, The Travels of Marco Polo, titled How the Great Khan Caused the bark of trees made into something like paper to pass for money all over his country. Banknotes were first issued in Europe by Stockholm's Banco in 1661 and were again also used alongside coins. The gold standard, a monetary system where the medium of exchange are paper notes that are convertible into preset, fixed quantities of gold, replaced the use of gold coins as currency in the 17th and 19th centuries in Europe. These gold standard notes were made legal tender, and redemption into gold coins were discouraged. By the beginning of the 20th century, almost all countries had adopted the gold standard, backing their legal tender notes with fixed amount of gold. Wow. After World War II and the Bretton Woods Conference, more workout. Bretton Woods Conference. Bretton Woods Conference. Bretton Woods Conference, formerly known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, was the gathering of 730 delegates from all 44 allied nations at the Mount Washington Hotel. What a big hotel. Wow, it's a big one. Love the red. Red's favorite color. Color the dragon army. Green, the goddess, dancing goddess army. And rainbow, phoenix people's body. Bretton Woods. Most countries adopted fiat currencies that were fixed to the US dollar. The US dollar was in turn fixed to gold. In 1971, the US government suspended the convertibility of the US dollar to gold. After this, many countries depegged their currencies from the US dollar, and most of the world's currencies became unbacked by anything except the government's fiat of legal tender and the ability to convert the money into goods via payment, according to proponents of modern money theory. Modern monetary theory, or MMT, modern money theory. MMT is a heterodox macroeconomic theory that describes currency as a public monopoly and unemployment as evidence that a currency monopolist is overly restricting the supply of the financial assets needed to pay taxes and satisfy savings desires. Fiat money is also backed by taxes. By imposing taxes, states create demand for the currency they issue. Wow, and there's a picture of the Song Dynasty Josie, the world's earliest paper money, known as the first paper money. Wow. Functions. In Money and the Mechanisms of Exchange, 1875, William Stanley Jevons famously analyzed money in terms of four functions. A medium of exchange. In economics, a medium of exchange is any item that is widely accepted in exchange for goods and services. In modern economies, the most commonly used medium of exchange is currency, a common measure of value or unit of account. A standard of value or standard of deferred payment. In economics, standard or deferred payment is a function of money and a store of value. A store of value is any commodity or asset that would normally retain purchasing power into the future and is the function of the asset that can be saved, retrieved, and exchanged at a later time, and be predictably useful when retrieved. By 1919, Jevons' four functions of money were summarized in the couplet. A couplet is a pair of successive lines of meter in poetry. Couplets, yes. Couplet usually consists of two successive lines that rhyme and have the same meter. A couplet may be formal, closed, or run-on, open. In a formal couplet, each of the two lines is end stopped, implying that there is a grammatical pause. Money is a matter of function for, a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. I like that. I never known that before. I might have read it years ago, maybe 13 years ago, but money is a matter of functions for, a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. Money is a matter of functions for, a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. Money is a matter of functions for, a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. This couplet would later become widely popular in macroeconomics textbooks. Most modern textbooks now list only three functions: that of medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value, not considering a standard of deferred payment as a distinguished function, but rather subsuming it in the others. There have been many historical disputes regarding the combination of money's functions, some arguing that they need some separation and that a single unit is insufficient to deal with them all. One of these arguments is that the role of money as a medium of exchange conflicts with its role as a store of value. Its role as a store of value requires holding it without spending, whereas its role as a medium of exchange requires it to circulate. Others argue that storing of value is just deferral of the exchange, but does not diminish the fact that money is a medium of exchange that can be transported both across space and time. The term financial capital is a more general and inclusive term for all liquid instruments, whether or not they are uniformly recognized tender. More workout. I'm gonna grab it. Oh yeah. And with that, I'm gonna go check on. Got some food for the Sabbath. Gonna go check if you need some water. I'll be back in 38 seconds. What am I cooking for the Sabbath? Lots of grains made and produced and created by the dance of the goddess with a brother son, harvested by one of my brothers and sisters, farmers. Kiss the hands, rub the feet, wash the body. Love you. Black quinoa, black royal quinoa, organic, which I free from a donation box. Thank you. And other grains, flax seeds. It's not spiced at all, but oh my. Tasty. Alright. Some more coffee left. Coffee, C-O-F-F-E. Commodity. Medium of exchange. When money is used to intermediate the exchange of goods and services, it is performing a function as a medium of exchange. It thereby avoids the inefficiencies of a barter system, such as the inability to permanently ensure coincidence of wants. The coincidence of wants is an economic phenomenon where two parties each hold an item the other wants, so they exchange these items directly without any monetary medium. This type of exchange is the foundation of a bartering economy. For example, between two parties in a barter system, one party may not have or make the item that the other wants, indicating the non-existence of the coincidence of wants. Having a medium of exchange can alleviate this issue because the former can have the freedom to spend time on other items instead of being burdened to only serve the needs of the latter. Meanwhile, the latter can use the medium of exchange to seek for a party that can provide them with the item they want. Measure of value. A unit of account in economics is a standard numerical monetary unit of measurement of the market value of goods, services, and other transactions. Also known as a measure or standard of relative worth and deferred payment. A unit of account is a necessary prerequisite for the formulation of commercial agreements that involve debt. Money acts as a standard measure and a common denomination of trade. It is thus a basis for quoting and bargaining of prices. It is necessary for developing efficient accounting systems. Standard of deferred payment. While standard of deferred payment is distinguished by some texts, particularly older ones, other texts subsume this under other functions. A standard of deferred payment is an accepted way to settle a debt, a unit in which debts are denominated in the status of money as legal tender. In those jurisdictions which have this concept, states that it may function for the discharge of debts. When debts are denominated in money, the real value of debts may change due to inflation and deflation, and for sovereign and international debts via debasement and devaluation. So what is debasement? A debasement of coinage is the practice of lowering the intrinsic value of coins, especially when used in connection with commodity money such as gold or silver coin. A coin is said to be debased if the quantity of gold, silver, copper, nickel in the coin is reduced, and devaluation. In macroeconomics and modern monetary policy, a devaluation is an official lowering of the value of a country's currency within a fixed exchange rate system, in which a monetary authority formally sets a lower exchange rate of the national currency in relation to a foreign reference currency or currency basket. Store of value. To act as a store of value, money must be able to be reliably saved, stored, and retrieved, and be predictably usable as a medium of exchange when it is retrieved. The value of the money must also remain stable over time. Some have argued that inflation, by reducing the value of money, diminishes the ability of the money to function as a store of value. Properties. To fulfill its various functions, money must have certain properties. Fungibility. Its individual units must be capable of mutual substitution, i.e. interchangeability. Durability. Able to withstand repeated use. Like this was from 2009, so to switched a few hands, passed on maybe quite a few times until it crossed the border at one point and it came into my hands in Canada. Divisibility to small units, like this $1 can be broken into 4 quarters. Portability, easily carried and transported. Cognizability, its value must be easily identified. Scarcity, its supply and circulation must be limited. Yeah. Money supply. In economics, money is any financial instrument that can fulfill the function of money. Let's work out some more. Mind, body, and spirit. Trinity, special session. Yeah. Hey. So money supply. In economics, money is any financial instrument. Financial instruments are monetary contracts between parties. They can be created, traded, modified, and settled. They can be cash, currency, evidence of an ownership interest in an entity, or a contractual right to receive or deliver in the form of currency, forex, for example, debt. Can fulfill functions of the money, which we just discussed. These financial instruments together are collectively referred to as the money supply of an economy. Macroeconomics, the money supply refers to the total volume of money held by the public at a particular point in time, which we mentioned. In other words, the money supply is the number of financial instruments within a specific economy available for purchasing goods or services. Since the money supply consists of various financial instruments, usually currency, demand deposits, and various other types of deposits, the amount of money in an economy is measured by adding together these financial instruments, creating a monetary aggregate. Modern monetary theory. Monetary economics is the branch of economics that studies the different competing theories of money. It provides a framework for analyzing money and considers its functions. And it considers how money, for example, fiat currency, can gain acceptance purely because of its convenience. It distinguishes among different ways to measure the stock of money or money supply, reflected in different types of monetary aggregates, using a categorization system that focuses on the liquidity in business, economics, or investment. Market liquidity is a market's feature whereby an individual or firm can quickly purchase or sell an asset without causing a drastic change in the asset's price. Liquidity involves the trade-off between the price at which an asset can be sold or bought of the financial instrument used as money. The most commonly used monetary aggregates or types of money are conventionally designated M1, M2, and M3 in macroeconomics. These are successively larger aggregate categories. M1 is currency, coins and bills, plus demand deposits. Demand deposits or non-confidential money are funds held in demand accounts in commercial banks. These account balances are usually considered money and form the greater part of the narrowly defined money supply of a country, such as checking accounts. M2 is M1 plus savings accounts, and savings account is a bank account at a retail bank. Common features include a limited number of withdrawals, a lack of check and linked debt card facilities, limited transfer options, and the inability to be overdrawn. Traditionally, transactions on savings accounts were widely recorded in a passbook. And time deposits. A time deposit or term deposit is a deposit in a financial institution with a specific maturity date or a period to maturity, commonly referred to as its term, as we've read about the three. All those with a bit different, the one in Switzerland, in Geneva and Bar in Switzerland, but there are also financial institutions in which can have financial instruments such as this, the time deposit, under $100,000. M3 is M1 plus larger time deposits and similar institutional accounts. M1 includes only the most liquid financial instruments, and M3 relatively liquid instruments. The precise definition of M1, M2, etc. may be different in different countries. Another measure of money, M1, MO, M0, M0, is also used. Unlike the other measures, it does not represent actual purchasing power by firms. What is purchasing power? Purchasing power is the amount of goods and services that can be purchased with a unit of currency. So, purchasing power of the US dollar is how many potatoes in the States produce potatoes or bananas, or purchasing power, the amount of goods or services. For example, if one had taken 1 unit of currency to a store in the 1950s, it would have been possible to buy a greater number of items. Purchasing power by firms and households in the economy. M0 is base money. In economics, the monetary base in a country is the total amount of money created in the central bank. This includes the total currency in circulation in the public, plus the currency that is physically held in the vaults of commercial bank, plus the commercial bank's reserve, or the amount of money actually issued by a central bank of a country. A central bank, reserve bank, or monetary authority is an institution that manages the currency and monetary policy of a state or formal monetary union and oversees the commercial banking system. In contrast to a commercial bank, a central bank possesses a monopoly. So, of course, the US dollar, United States of America, is the Federal Reserve. That is one printed in 2009. Signed by the Treasurer, Secretary of Treasury, and the Treasurer of the United States. And the Bank of Canada for the coins that I have there. $3.80. Central bank of a country. It is measured as currency plus deposit of banks and other institutions at the central bank. MO is also the only money that can satisfy the reserve requirements of commercial banks. What are reserve requirements? Reserve requirement is a central bank regulation that says the minimum amount that a commercial bank must hold in liquid assets. This minimum amount, commonly referred to as the commercial bank's reserve, is generally determined by the central bank on the basis of a specified proportion of deposit liabilities of commercial banks. Commercial bank is a financial institution which accepts deposits from the public and gives loans for the purposes of consumption and investment to make profits. Now we invest in the mind, meditate on the food, that's the spiritual, which are interlinked, and now I'm gonna invest in the body, working out with this workout train. This water, 42 pounds. I'm gonna lift it like that. Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh. Creation of money. In current economic system, money is created by two procedures: legal tender or narrow money. MO is the cash created by a central bank by minting coins and printing banknotes. Bank money or broad money, M1 and M2, is the money created by private banks through the recording of loans as deposits of borrowing clients, with partial support indicated by the cash ratio. Currently, bank money is created as electronic money. In most countries, the majority of money is mostly created as M1, M2 by commercial banks making loans. Contrary to some popular misconceptions, banks do not act simply as intermediaries, lending out deposits that savers place with them, and do not depend on central bank money, MO, to create new loans and deposits. Market liquidity. Market liquidity describes how easily an item can be traded for another item or into the common currency within an economy. Money is the most liquid asset because it is universally recognized and accepted as a common currency. In this way, money gives consumers the freedom to trade goods and services easily without having to barter. Freedom. A double-edged sword that I admit with my tiny hands, tiny feet, tiny clit dick. Trinity of tinies, yours truly, Adrian Hanna, Dragan, Rainbow Dragon. The only thing big I got is this big mouth. Freedom. Lift the sword of freedom by my solo cannot with these tiny hands. Perhaps if my friend, oftentimes teacher one I love and call sister helps. And freedom gotta be secured, insured by the Dragon Army. By what? Securing, ensuring the three elements of civilization for all. Food, housing, and transport. Once those three are secured, it encourages people to work out, train, exercise, do community work, volunteer, XYZ, learn, integrate, learn about civilization and nature. Freedom to trade goods and services easily without having to barter. Freedom, broadly speaking, liberty is the ability to do as one pleases, or a right or immunity enjoyed by prescription or by grant. It is a synonym for the word freedom. In modern politics, liberty is the state of being free within society from control or oppressive restrictions. Freedom to trade goods and services easily without having to barter. Well, the services I'm offering to my allies and armies: kisses, massages, washes, rubs, doing push-ups, doing squats, doing hawks, cleaning, serving food, cooking, dancing, serving. For the mind, for the body, which is a temple for pleasure and for purpose. My allies and armies' blessings. Having to barter. Liquid financial instruments are easily tradable and have low transaction costs. There should be no or minimal spread between the prices to buy and sell the instrument being used as money. Liquid financial instruments are easily tradable. Tradability is the property of a good or service that can be sold in another location, distant from where it was produced. A good that is not tradable is called non-tradable. Different goods have differing levels of tradability. The higher the cost of transportation and the shorter the shelf life, and have low transaction costs. In economics and related disciplines, the transaction cost is a cost in making any economic trade when participating in market. Oliver E. Williamson defines transaction costs as the cost of running an economic system of companies and alike production cost decision makers. There should be no or minimal spread between the prices. The bid-ask spread is the difference between the prices quoted for an intermediate sale offer, and an immediate purchase, bid, for stocks, future contracts, options, or currency pairs. The size of the bid-ask spread in a security is one measure of the liquidity of the market between the prices to buy and sell the instrument being used as money. Types. Commodity. Many items have been used as commodity money, such as naturally scarce precious metals. Commodity money. Scarce precious metals. Precious metals are rare, naturally occurring metallic chemical elements of high economic value. Chemically, the precious metals tend to be less reactive than most elements. Conch shells. Conch, C-O-N-C-H, conch, is a common name of a number of different medium to large size sea snails. Barley, beads, etc., as well as many other things that are thought of as having value. Commodity money value comes from the commodity out of which it is made. The commodity itself constitutes the money, and the money is the commodity. Examples of commodities that have been used as medium of exchange include gold, silver, copper, rice, wampum. What's wampum? W-A-M-P-U-M. Oh, wampum. W-A-M-P-U-M is a traditional shell bead of the eastern woodlands tribes of Native Americans. Wow. It includes white shell beads, hand fashioned from the North Atlantic channeled Welsh shell and white and purple beads made from the quahog of western North Atlantic hard shell clam. Wow. I don't think I ever seen in real life. Maybe on some people or on their necks, yeah, or displayed, but wow, that is something. Salt, peppercorns. See, learning every day. Salt, peppercorns, large stones, decorated belts, shells, alcohol, cigarettes, cannabis, candy, etc. These items were sometimes used in a metric or perceived value in conjunction with one another in various commodity valuation or price system economies. The use of commodity money is similar to barter, but a commodity money provides a simple and automatic unit of account for the commodity which is being used as money, although some gold coins, such as Krugerrand. Krugerrand is a South African coin, first minted on 3rd of July 1967 to help market South African gold and produced by a Rand refiner in the South African Mint. Are considered legal tender. There is no record of their face value or on either side of the coin. The rationale for this is that emphasis is laid on their direct link to the prevailing value of their fine gold content. The finesse of precious metal object represents the weight of fine metal therein, in proportion to the total weight, which includes alloying base metals and any impurities. Alloy metals are added to increase hardness and durability of coins and jewelry, alter colors, decrease the cost per weight, etc. Fine gold content. American eagles are imprinted with their gold content and legal tender face value. Wow, let's work out some more. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh yeah. Representative in 1875, the British economist William Stanley Jevons described the money used at the time as representative money. Representative money is money that consists of token coins, paper money, or any physical tokens such as certificates that can be reliably exchanged for a fixed quantity of a commodity such as gold or silver. The value of representative money stands in direct and fixed relation to the commodity that backs it, while not itself being composed of that commodity. Wow. Representative money. Representative money is an medium of exchange, often printed on paper, that represents something of value. Fiat money. Fiat money or fiat currency is money whose value is not derived from any intrinsic value or guarantee that it can be converted into a valuable commodity such as gold. Instead, it has value only by government order. Fiat. Usually, the government declares that fiat currency, typically notes and coins from a central bank, such as the Federal Reserve, FED, the Fed, in the United States, to be legal tender, making it unlawful not to accept the fiat currency as a means of repayment for all debts, public and private, which I'm calling yours truly, all debts, public and private, to be refused, taking the number in order to create a global universal unit of exchange biometrics, hand, eye, and a voice, the dancing goddess in the Dragan Empire, and North America, the Americas, NATO, Israel, and then Africa, if they will, willingly loving it. Whoever will for world peace, international justice, securing, ensuring global freedom by the three essential elements to be secured for all citizens, subjects, allies, regardless of any other considerations, and then could move forward progress for harmony with the civilization in nature thereafter, and healing and joy of a new world order. Some bullion coins such as the Australian gold nugget and American eagle are legal tender. However, they trade based on the market price of the metal content as a commodity rather than their legal tender face value, which is usually only a small fraction of their bullion value. Fiat money, if physically represented in the form of currency, paper or coins, can be accidentally damaged or destroyed. However, fiat money has an advantage over representative or commodity money in that the same laws that created the money can also define rules for its replacement in case of damage or destruction. For example, the US government will replace mutilated Federal Reserve notes, US fiat money, if at least half of the physical note can be reconstructed, or if it can be otherwise proven that they have been destroyed. By contrast, commodity money that has been lost or destroyed cannot be recovered. Coinage. These factors led to the shift of the store value being the metal itself. At first silver, then both silver and gold, and at one point there was bronze as well. Now we have copper coins and other non-precious metals as coins. Metals were mined, weighed, and stamped into coins. This was to assure the individual taking the coin that he was getting a certain known weight of precious metal. Coins could be counterfeit, but they also created a new unit of account which helped lead to banking. Archimedes Principle provided the next link. Archimedes Principle states that the upward buoyant force that is exerted on a body immersed in a fluid, whether fully or partially, is equal to the weight of the fluid that the body displaces. Archimedes' Principle is a law of physics fundamental to fluid mechanics. It was formulated by Archimedes of Syracuse. Provided the next link. Coins can now be easily tested for their fine weight or of the metal, and thus the value of a coin could be determined, even if it had been shaved, debased, or otherwise tampered with. See numismatics. 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 Numismatics is the term meaning numismatics is the study or collection of currency, including coins, tokens, paper money, metals, and related objects. Numismatics. In most major economies using coinage, copper, silver, and gold form three tiers of coins. Gold coins were used for large purchases, payment of the military, and backing of state activities. Silver coins were used for mid-sized transactions and as a unit of account for taxes, dues, contracts, and fealty, while copper coins represented the coinage of common transaction. This system had been used in ancient India since the time of the Mahajanapandas. The Mahajanapandas were 16 kingdoms of oligarchical republics that existed in northern ancient India from the 6th to 4th century before the Common Era. So see how Indian civilization is thousands of years old, as well as in parallel with ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, Sumeria, ancient China as well. In Europe, this system worked through the medieval period because there was virtually no new gold, silver, or copper introduced through mining or conquest. Thus, the overall ratios of the three coinages remain roughly equivalent. Paper. Paper. Go for more workout. You bet. Let's go a few more. Yeah. Paper. The need for credit and for circulating a medium that was less of a burden than exchanging thousands of copper coins. A big bag led to the introduction of paper money, commonly known today as banknotes. This economic phenomenon was a slow and gradual process that took place from the late Tang Dynasty into the Song Dynasty. It began as a means for merchants to exchange heavy coinage for receipts of deposit issued as promissory notes from shops to wholesalers, notes that were valid for temporary use in a small regional territory. In the 10th century, the Song Dynasty government began circulating these notes among the traders in their monopolized salt industry. The Song government granted several shops the sole right to issue banknotes. And in the early 12th century, the government finally took over these shops, to produce state-issued currency. Yet the banknotes issued were still regionally valid and temporary. It was not until the mid-13th century that a standard and uniform government issue of paper money was made into an acceptable nationwide currency. The already widespread methods of wood block printing and then Pisheng's movable type printing by the 11th century was the impetus for the massive production of paper money in pre-modern China. Around the same time in the medieval Islamic world, a vigorous monetary economy, vigorous, as in vigor, with energy, strength, force, vigorous. vigorous, vigorous. Monetary economy was created. In the medieval Islamic world, also known as the Islamic Golden Age, was a period of cultural, economic, and scientific flourishing in the history of Islam, traditionally dated from the 8th century to the 14th century. This period is traditionally understood to have begun during the reign of the Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid. Vigorous monetary economy was created during the 7th to 12th centuries on the basis of expanding levels of circulation of a stable high-value currency, the dinar. Innovations introduced by economists. Traders and merchants of the Muslim world include the earliest uses of credit. Credit is the trust which allows one party to provide money or resources to another party, wherein the second party does not reimburse the first party immediately. Checks. A check or check is a document that orders a bank to pay a specific amount of money from a person's account. Savings accounts. The bank account of a retail bank. Common features include a limited number of withdrawals. Transactional accounts. Transaction account also called a checking account, current account, demand deposit account, share draft account. At credit unions is a deposit account held at a bank or other financial institutions. Loaning. Trusts. A trust is a legal relationship in which the owner of property gives it to another person or entity who must keep and use it solely for another's benefit. A trust is a legal relationship in which the owner of property gives it to another person or entity who must keep and use it solely for another benefit. A trust is a legal relationship in which the owner of property gives it to another person or entity who must keep and use it solely for another's benefit. In English common law, the party who entrusts the property is known as the settlor, party to whom the property is entrusted. Exchange rates. In finance, an exchange rate is the rate at which one currency will be exchanged for another currency, such as my US dollar for the Canadians that I have. The exchange rate, right? With one US dollar, let's see. Exchange rate. 1 US dollar to Canadian. How much is it today? So this US dollar will give, if I change it, will give me $1.24 Canadian. So basically 1.25 because there's no more pennies. Took the pennies out of circulation in Canada. No more pennies. Although I have 1,318, I believe, pennies. Gotta recount, but more than 1,300 for sure. I think I got maybe 1,311, 1,318, somewhere there, or maybe 1,304, 1,300. So it's basically $13.04 or 11 cents or $13.18, all in pennies. This big pennies. Still got pennies. More than $13 worth of pennies I still have. So that's 100 pennies gives you $1 Canadian, right? So I got more than 1,300 pennies. It's a big it's a big pouch of pennies. At around the same time in the medieval Islamic world, that one we said, trust, exchange rates, the transfer of credit and debt, and banking institutions for loan and deposit. Financial institutions, otherwise known as banking institutions, are corporations that provide services as intermediaries of financial markets. Broadly speaking, there are three major types of financial institutions for loans and deposit. In Europe, paper money was first introduced in Sweden in 1661. Sweden was rich in copper, thus, because of the copper's low value, extraordinarily big coins, often weigh several kilograms, wow, had to be made. The advantages of paper currency were numerous. It reduced transport of gold and silver, thus lowered the risks. It made loaning gold or silver at interest easier, since the specie, gold or silver, never left the possession of the lender until someone else redeemed their note. It allowed for a division of currency into credit and specie-backed forms. It enabled the sale of stock in joint stock companies. Stock. Stock is all of the shares into which ownership of a corporation is divided. In American English, the shares are collectively known as stock. A single share of the stock represents fractional ownership of the corporation in proportion to the total number of shares, right? A single share of the stock represents fractional ownership of the corporation in proportion to the total number of shares. A single share, do not own any shares, myself. A single share of the stock represents fractional ownership of the corporation in proportion to the total number of shares. In joint stock companies, a joint stock company is a business entity in which shares of the company's stock can be bought and sold by shareholders. Each shareholder owns company stock in proportion, evidenced by their shares, and the redemption of those shares in paper. In financial markets, a share is a unit used as mutual funds, limited partnerships, and real estate investment trusts. The owner of shares in the company is a shareholder of the corporation. A share is an indivisible unit of capital. However, disadvantages are held within their disadvantages. First, since a note has no intrinsic value, there was nothing to stop issuing authorities from printing more of it than they had specie to back it with. Second, because it increased the money supply, it increased inflationary pressures, a fact observed by David Hume in the 18th century. The result is that paper money would often lead to an inflationary bubble, which could collapse if people began demanding hard money, causing the demand for paper notes to fall to zero. The printing of paper money was also associated with wars and financing of wars, and therefore, let's do the debt refusion theory of yours truly, Adrian H. Dragonborn being reborn for world peace in the 21st century instead of wars, and therefore regarded as part of maintaining a standing army. So the Dragon Army, Debt Refusion, Dancing Goddess Army, Cooperative, Covenant, complementary institutions for attaining harmony between civilization and nature. The Dancing Goddess Army, officially titled International, Integrated Dance League, in complement, Covenant, Cooperative with the International Citizen Integrated Social Security Force, aka the Dragon Army. For these reasons, paper currency was held in suspicion and hostility in Europe and America. It was also addictive, since the speculative profits of trade and capital creation were quite large. Major nations established mints to print money and mint coins, and branches of their treasury to collect taxes and hold gold and silver stock. At this time, both silver and gold were considered legal tender. Legal tender is a form of money that courts of law are required to recognize a satisfactory payment for any monetary debt, and acceptance by government for taxes. However, the instability in the ratio in economic realism lies a monetary principle stating that bad money drives out good money. Between the two grew over the 19th century, with the increase both in the supply of these metals, particularly silver, and of trade. This is called bimetallism, and the attempt to create a bimetallic standard where both gold and silver-backed currency remained in circulation occupied the efforts of inflationists. Governments at this point could use currency as an instrument of policy, printing paper currency such as the United States greenback to pay for military expenditures. United States greenback, a United States note. Also known as legal tender note, is a type of paper money that was issued from 1862 to 1971. In the US, having been current for 109 years, they were issued for longer than that. Any other form of US paper money to pay for military expenditures. They could also set the terms in which They would redeem notes for specie by limiting the amount of purchase, or the minimum amount that could be redeemed. By 1900, most of the industrializing nations were on some form of a gold standard, with paper notes and silver coins constituting the circulating medium. Private banks and governments across the world followed Gresham's law, keeping gold and silver paid, but paying out in notes. This did not happen all around the world at the same time, but occurred sporadically, generally in times of war or financial crises, beginning in the early part of the 20th century and continuing across the world until the late 20th century, when the regime of floating fiat currencies came into force. One of the last countries to break away from the gold standard was the United States in 1971. Gold standard. A gold standard is a monetary system in which the standard economic unit of account is based on a fixed quantity of gold. The gold standard was the basis for the international monetary system from the 1870s to the early 1920s, and from the late 1920s to 1932, as well as from 1944 until 1971. No country anywhere in the world today has an enforceable gold standard or silver standard currency system. The silver standard is a monetary system in which the standard economic unit of account is a fixed weight of silver. Silver was far more widespread than gold as the monetary standard worldwide. From the Sumerians, ancient Sumer, afterwards it became Babylonians, the Sumeria, ancient Sumeria in Mesopotamia. Sumerians got 3000 before the Common Era until 1873. Workout, brain, train, money. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh. Commercial bank. Commercial bank money or demand deposits are claims against financial institutions that can be used for the purchase of goods and services. A demand deposit account is an account from which funds can be withdrawn at any time by check or cash withdrawal without giving the bank or financial institution any prior notice. Banks have the legal obligation to return funds held in demand deposits immediately upon demand or at call. Demand deposit withdrawals can be performed in person via checks or bank drafts using automatic teller machines, ATMs, or through online banking. Commercial bank money is created through fractional reserve banking. ATMs, automatic teller machines. Cash machine is an electronic telecommunications device that enables customers of financial institutions to perform financial transactions such as cash withdrawal, deposit, funds transfer, balance increase, or through online banking. Online banking, also known as internet banking, which I do a bit, not a lot. I'm still waiting to do more. PayPal. I'm willing to do my phone, and I have the app, the Lion app, the Royal Bank of Canada. I don't have any money to invest in stocks. I invest in my body by working out, training, exercising, online banking. It's an electronic payment system that enables customers of a bank or other financial institutions to conduct a range of financial transactions to the financial institution's website. Commercial bank money is created through fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking is the system of banking operating in almost all ALL countries worldwide, under which banks that take deposits from the public are required to hold a proportion of their deposit liabilities in liquid assets as a reserve and are at liberty to lend the remainder. At liberty. Commercial bank money is created through fractional reserve banking, the banking practice where banks keep only a fraction of their deposits in reserve as cash and other highly liquid assets and lend out the remainder while maintaining the simultaneous obligation to redeem all these deposits upon demand. Commercial bank money differs from commodity and fiat money in two ways. Firstly, it is non-physical, as its existence is only reflected in the account ledgers of banks and other financial institutions. And secondly, there is some element of risk that the claim will not be fulfilled if the financial institution becomes insolvent. The process of fractional reserve banking has the cumulative effect of money creation by commercial banks. Money creation or money issuance is the process by which the money supply of a country or of an economic or monetary region is increased. In modern economies, most of the money supply is in the form of bank deposits. Central banks monitor the amount of money in the economy. Process of fractional reserve banking has a cumulative effect of money creation by commercial banks as it expands, meaning it grows, the money supply, cash and demand deposits beyond what it would otherwise be. Because of the prevalence of fractional reserve banking, the broad money supply of most countries is a multiple greater than 1 of the amount of base money created by the country's central bank. So broad, in macroeconomics, the money supply refers to the total volume of money held by the public at a particular point in time. But the base money, in economics, the monetary base in a country is the total amount of money created by the central bank. So it's not the same as the broad money supply, which can be increased by loans of the commercial banks. Created by the country's central bank. That multiple, called the money multiplier. In monetary economics, a money multiplier is one of various closely related ratios of commercial bank money to central bank money under a fractional reserve banking system. It relates to the maximum amount of commercial bank money that can be created, given a certain amount of central bank money. It's determined by the reserve requirement. A reserve requirement is a central bank regulation that says the minimum amount that a commercial bank must hold in liquid assets. This minimum amount, commonly referred to as the commercial bank's reserve, is generally determined by the central bank on the basis of a specified proportion of deposit liabilities or other financial ratio. A financial ratio or accounting ratio is a relative magnitude of two selected numerical values taken from an enterprise financial statements, often used in accounting. There are many standard ratios used to try to evaluate the overall financial condition of a corporation or other organization. Requirements imposed by financial regulators. The money supply of a country is usually held to be the total amount of currency in circulation plus the total value of checking and savings deposits in the commercial banks in the country. In modern economics, relatively little of the money supply is in physical currency. For example, in December 2010, in the US, of the 8,000, so 8,000 that would be trillion basically, of the 8,853 billion, a billion is 1,000 million, remind you, in broad money supply, the M2 in macroeconomics, only 915 billion, about 10%, consisted of physical coins and paper money. Only 10%. Wow. So the rest is in the computers, in electronics, in the bank accounts. In the bank accounts, in the money. In your smartphones, wallet, your bank account, saving or checking, or other investments. Digital or electronic. The development of computer technology, and in a parallel life, science, innovation, and technology would have been my chosen path, where computers, satellites, smartphones, and ICBM rockets would have been my chosen path in this life. Well, spirituality, psychology, sexuality, art, the irrational, emotional, subconscious, and artistic path is mainly my path, although they intersect in the coming days, weeks, months ahead to balance, harmonize me as an independent artist, athlete, and activist. Digital or electronic. The development of computer technology in the second part of the 20th century allowed money to be represented digitally. By 1990, in the United States, all money transferred between its central bank and commercial banks was in electronic form. By 1990, in the United States, all money transferred between the central bank, its central bank, and commercial banks was in electronic form. By 1990, in the United States, all ALL money transferred between its central bank and commercial banks was in electronic form. By the 2000s, most money existed as digital currency in bank databases. So digital currency. Digital currency is any currency, money or money-like asset that is primarily managed, stored or exchanged on digital computer systems, especially over the internet. Types of digital currencies include cryptocurrency, virtual currency, and central bank digital currency. Like, I'm advocating for debt refusion, DBTREFUSION, for refusing all private and public debt, to create a global central bank to issue a universal unit of exchange, and digital by biometrics, preferably the hand, the voice, and the eye being unique biometric identifiers, and could be in parallel with something tangible as well, a dual sort of system. In 2020, by number of transactions, 20 to 58% of transactions were electronic, dependent on country. Non-national digital currencies were developed in the early 2000s. In particular, flows and bins had gained momentum before the dot-com. Flows.com was a dot-com venture, now defunct. Non-national digital currencies were developed in the early 2000s. FLOZ, FLOZ, FLOZ. Floz.com was a dot-com venture, now defunct, based in New York City, that went online in February 1999. It was promoted by comic actress Whoopi Goldberg in a series of television. My eye. Stop throwing dirt, filth, and poison in my eye, brother. Whoopi Goldberg in a series of television. I love Whoopi Goldberg. We have something in common. I'm a bit of a comedian myself. World's greatest living dancing millennial rainbow poet, Whoopi Goldberg. We have something astrologically In common, we are Scorpios. FLOZZ, flaws, flaws, flaws. And BENZ, Benz.com. Just gonna put myself some tea. Actually, forget the tea. We're just gonna rock and roll. It's 7:18 p.m. But I will have to check quickly on my food, see if it needs some stirring and some water. It looks like it's growing a bit. Oh, wow. Food is cooking faster than I had expected. It's a nice tasty creaminess to it. I'm gonna use part of it to make some and eat it as a dessert. Non-digital digital currencies were developed in the early 2000s. In particular, flaws and bends had gained momentum before the dot-com bubble. Not much innovation occurred until the conception of Bitcoin in 2008, which introduced the concept of a cryptocurrency, a decentralized, trustless, trustless, trustless currency. The dot-com bubble, also known as dot-com bubble and the tech bubble, and the internet bubble, was a stock market bubble caused by excessive speculation of internet-related companies in the late 1990s, a period of massive growth in the use and adoption of the internet. Not much innovation occurred until the conception of Bitcoin in 2008. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency without a central bank or single administrator that can be sent from user to user on the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need for intermediaries. Transactions are verified by network nodes through cryptography and recorded in a public distributed ledger. 2008, which introduced the concept of a cryptocurrency. And many have argued that the cryptocurrency is mostly, again, a speculative unit, as although in this life I've chosen spirituality, psychology, the artistic, emotional, irrational, subconscious, sexual, physical side of life, rather than in the parallel life where science, innovation, and technology is my universe. But this, and of course, Bitcoin is fancy technology, mathematics, logic, and software, right, and coding, and superb, great, techie, mathematically, arithmetics, and however, it's a speculative because it's not really backed by anything really tangible other than the mathematics, the equations, the science, beams of light flowing through the internet, and corresponding numbers and equations and formulas of the mathematics behind the Bitcoin, right? Speculative. Makes me think of the tulips in Holland, tulip mania. I offer something tangible, relatable to my allies and armies. Can dance, work out, push-ups, hawk squats. You got food, we'll cook. Got wine, we'll serve. Got lotion, we'll massage. Kisses, hugs, rubs, massages, washes. That got millions, billions, and trillions of kisses from goddess of starlight, heavens, who gets one kiss. Action turns with the goddess that dances with her brother the sun, whose eye, the dragon, and the eye of the goddess the moon. Planet Earth here, the goddess whose trees are but the hairs on the body. She dances with her brother the sun, as her eyes being the moon. That I got. And of course, I admire the science, the tech, the logic, the mathematics, and in a parallel life, science, innovation, and technology are my path. In this, psychology, spirituality, art, the irrational, emotional, spiritual, sexual, subconscious is my mostly, not only. Let's work out on the physical. Speaking of physical, Monetary policy. When gold and silver are used as money, money supply can grow only if the supply of these metals are increased by mining. Oh, I read about cryptocurrency. What does it say? A cryptocurrency, crypto is a collection of binary data which is designed to work as a medium of exchange where an individual coin ownership records are stored in a ledger, which is a computerized database using strong cryptography to secure transaction records. And again, just last week, from what I know, China banned all cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin or not just the other ones that are on top 10, let's say, but all cryptocurrency transactions. And all current cryptocurrency transactions, all cryptocurrencies that are banned in China now. Wonder how come? This last week makes me think with the Evergrande about to default, if there's not and due to the convergence of the U.S.-China trade war, all these convergences is triggering a stock market crash, a crisis, financial, economic, commercial crisis in China, which could spill to the whole world economy. Because since 1984, are so interlinked, and China became the biggest producer, exporter, factory of the world of mass goods. Well, the United States, after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1989, well, 1989 was officially the Berlin Wall, the big year of change, transactions, of changes, revolutions, right? Well, officially the Soviet Union started, then the communism in Europe. Officially December 25th, 1991 was the dissolution of the Soviet Union officially. Well, let's say 1989 is the Soviet Union's dissolution, and China rose to the United States to be the biggest market and the biggest importer and consumer of goods, right? This rate of increase will accelerate during periods of gold rushes and discoveries, such as when Columbus discovered the New World and brought back gold and silver to Spain, or when gold was discovered in California in 1848. This causes inflation as the value of gold coins goes down. However, if the I could use a neck rub. However, the rate of gold mining cannot keep up with the growth of the economy. Gold becomes relatively more valuable, and prices denominated in gold will drop, causing deflation. Deflation was the more typical situation for over a century, when gold and paper money backed by gold were used as money in the 18th and 19th centuries. Modern-day monetary systems are based on fiat money and are no longer tied to the value of gold. The control of the amount of money in the economy is known as monetary policy. Monetary policy is the process by which a government, central bank, or monetary authority manages the money supply to achieve specific goals. Usually, the goal of monetary policy is to accommodate economic growth in an environment of stable prices. For example, it is clearly stated that the Federal Reserve Act that the Board of Governors and the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, should seek to promote effectively the goals of maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. A failed monetary policy can have significant detrimental effects on an economy and the society that depends on it. These include hyperinflation, stagflation, recession, high unemployment, shortages of imported goods, inability to export goods, and even total monetary collapse and the adoption of a much less efficient barter economy. This happened in Russia, for instance, after the fall of the Soviet Union. The history of the Soviet Union from 1982 through 1991. Governments and central banks have taken both regulatory and free market approaches to monetary policy. Some of the tools used to control the money supply include changing the interest rate at which the central bank loans money to or borrows money from the commercial banks, currency purchases or sales, increasing or lowering government borrowing, increasing or lowering government spending, manipulation of exchange rates, raising or lowering bank reserve requirements, regulation or prohibition of private currencies, taxation or tax breaks on imports or exports of capital into a country, In the US, the Federal Reserve is responsible for controlling the money supply, while in the Euro area, the respective institution is the European Central Bank. Other central banks with a significant impact on global finances are the Bank of Japan, People's Bank of China, and the Bank of England. For many years, much of monetary policy was influenced by an economic theory known as monetarism. Monetarism is an economic theory which argues that management of the money supply should be the primary means of regulating economic activity. The stability of the demand for money prior to the 1980s was a key finding of Milton Friedman and Anna Schwartz. Supported by the work of David Laidler and many others. The nature of the demand for money changed during the 1980s owing to technical, institutional, and legal factors, and the influence of monetarism has since decreased. Locality. The definition of money says it is money only in a particular country or socioeconomic context. In general, communities only use a single measure of value, which can be identified in the prices of goods listed for sale. There might be multiple media of exchange, which can be observed by what is given to purchase goods. Medium of exchange. In most countries, the government acts to encourage a particular form of money, such as requiring it for taxes and punishing fraud. Some places do maintain two currencies, particularly in border towns or high travel areas. Shops in these locations might list prices that accept payment in multiple currencies. Otherwise, foreign currency is treated as a financial asset, and a financial asset is a non-physical asset whose value is derived from a contractual claim such as bank deposits, bonds, and participation in companies' share capital. Financial assets are usually more liquid than other tangible assets, such as commodities or real estate, in the local market. Foreign currency is commonly bought or sold on foreign exchange markets. Foreign exchange market is a global, decentralized, or over-the-counter OTC market for the trading of currencies, also known as Forex, which is in actual the biggest market in the world. Forex is the biggest market. There's so many currencies, and especially US dollars and euros and yuans and Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars is among the top 10 currencies. This market determines foreign exchange rates such as the US dollar's value being $1 and a quarter Canadian. So for 100 Canadian, one American dollar, you get $1 Canadian and a quarter. So 125. So it's 25% more in value when you see exchange rate. 125%. This market determines foreign exchange rates for every currency. It includes all aspects of buying, selling, and exchanging currencies at current or determined prices by travelers and traders. Communities can change the money they use, which is known as currency substitution. This can happen intentionally when a government issues a new currency. For example, when Brazil moved from the Brazilian Cruzeiro to the Brazilian Real. It can also happen spontaneously when the people refuse to accept the currency experiencing hyperinflation. Hyperinflation. And there's a picture for the hyperinflation. There's the Magyar Nemzetbank. The Bank of Magyar stands for Hungarian, Hungary. In economics, hyperinflation is very high and typically accelerating inflation, which also means the purchasing power loss, also inflation. That, I don't know, a lot of, when they speak about inflation, a lot of economists, financial analysts, and commerce experts, I noticed that they do not mention that that's what basically it means. You can't buy less goods for the same dollar as you buy yesterday if there's inflation overnight. Or hyperinflation is a very severe case, right? The purchasing power just drops completely in this. You need more and more money. Quickly erodes the real value of a local currency as the prices of all goods increase. This causes people to minimize their holdings in that currency. They usually switch to more stable foreign currencies. The money used by a commodity can change on a smaller scale. This can come through innovation, such as the adoption of checks. Gresham's law says that bad money drives out good. That is, when buying a good, a person is more likely to pass on less desirable items that qualify as money and hold on to more valuable ones. For example, coins with less silver in them, but which are still valid coins, are more likely to circulate in the community. This may effectively change the money used by a community. The money used by a community does not have to be a currency issued by a government. A famous example of community adopting a new form of money is prisoners of war using cigarettes to trade. Financial crimes. Counterfeiting. Counterfeit money is imitation currency produced without the legal sanction of the state or government. Producing or using counterfeit money is a form of fraud or forgery. Counterfeiting is almost as old as money itself. Plated copies, known as fourrés, have been found of Lydian coins, which are thought to be among the first Western coins. Historically, objects that were difficult to counterfeit, example, shells, rare stones, precious metals, were often chosen as money. Before the introduction of paper money, the most prevalent method of counterfeiting involved mixing base metals with pure gold or silver. A form of counterfeiting is the production of documents by legitimate printers in response to fraudulent instructions. During World War II, the Nazis forged British pounds and American dollars. Today, some of the finest counterfeit banknotes are called superdollars. Superdollar is a very high quality counterfeit United States $100 bill, alleged by the US government to have been made by unknown organizations or governments. In 2011, government sources stated that these counterfeit bills were in worldwide circulation from the late 1980s until at least July 2000 in an extradition court case. There have been significant counterfeiting of euro banknotes and coins since the launch of the currency in 2002, but considerably less than for the US dollar. Money laundering. Money laundering is the process in which the proceeds of crime are transformed into ostensibly legitimate money or other assets. However, in several legal and regulatory systems, the term money laundering has become conflated with other forms of financial crime and sometimes used more generally to include misuse of the financial system, involving things such as securities, digital currencies, credit cards, and traditional currency, including terrorism financing, tax evasion, and evading of international sanctions.